Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, the other day I posted a video in regards to this new update, this new dungeon that came out for the Sand Tomb or Sand Devil Necropolis, being the Ascension essentially is the worst thing they could have added to the game, or the worst thing they've ever added. Now, I do want to address what a lot of people are thinking lately with this in regard to what I stated out there. And I had a lot of time to think about it, right? At the time when I posted that video, well, first off, before I even start, I want to apologize to everybody that I may have offended or if I came across the wrong way or in whatever way, because I mean, I think I will admit that I kind of do come off as a little bit of an elitist when it comes to like the gears that I rolled and me wanting to like stay on top because I farmed up so much and it kind I guess it kind of sounds like oh I belong to stay up here because I've already farmed up all this gear, which comes across as an elitist, right? But that wasn't really my intent at all. But I do apologize if I came across as like a bit of an elitist or whatnot. But I think I want you guys to understand like where I'm coming from, what I'm about to say. And also in that moment when I said a lot of things, I was very I don't want to say heated, but I was very in the moment. I was very like I had a lot of like thoughts built up inside, think thoughts about like the whole ascension, the whole sand dungeon and me just not liking it. But that wasn't the whole reason why I posted the video. Like a lot of you ended up watching the video and only saw like what I said in the first like minute of the video or first 2 minutes and then just jumped to conclusions what the video was going to be about and then just immediately went to the comment section and started posting. It's like, oh, you're crying because you're a whale. That wasn't really the whole point of my video, and that was not the purpose of me wanting to rant about the video. That was kind of more of like a reaction of built up emotions that I had inside while trying to go over what I was really trying to get to the point of the video in the latter half of the video, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, like, because like people didn't see, like people were saying like, oh, you're just sad you didn't get good roles, right? Guys, I was one of the biggest benefactors when it comes to this ascension, and I'm the one complaining about it, even though I was one of the biggest benefactors because or beneficiaries, I mean. But my Baron, if you see the stats here, guys, my Baron is up there. Okay, he got my Baron went from 8,500 attack to over 9k attack. I gained about 20% crit damage as well. This was a massive boost to my Baron. Now, some of you can say like, well, your Baron is kind of overtuned. Yeah, it definitely is, but it really depends where you're pushing in Plat Arena or where you're trying to progress or whatever that you can say like, oh, maybe this stat is better than that stat, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, I was a beneficiary of this stat boost, this ascension, is what I'm trying to say, but I was still coming out and complaining about it. And I felt like, I felt like I felt like I could say something a little bit more because I was a beneficiary more so than like I didn't get anything and I'm complaining because I didn't get anything because that's not the case at all. So the thing is, when it comes to this ascension, the whole reason why I made that video is because I just hated the fact about the RNG on top of RNG, which is like the whole main thing that I just really hated about it. But the other main thing I really hated about it was the fact that I'll show this once again, like I did in my last video. But before I address the comments and before I tell you my now what I actually think of this whole system and like after speaking to Murder Inc. and several other people and pretty much just like processing what they're saying and thinking more in the grand scheme of things in terms of like what the game is doing and what is to come and whatnot. So before I just address that, the reason why I made that video is because this right here, as soon as I played on my free to play account, right, just like a random, just another day me playing on my free to play account. I logged in, I saw this on my advanced quest, and this just it just it triggered me, guys. Okay, like as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, you know what? That's it. I'm making a video right now. And then this was like right after I was already had the emotions inside of me about the bad feels in terms of the gears that I rolled and um going through so much gear ascension to basically get the ascension that I want. Basically was a speed, basically like the example that I gave. So that's kind of why that part of it came out, even though, and that was like the beginning of the video. So a lot of you thought that was going to be what the video was about, which was, I mean, it still hurts. It's like, it hurts, right? If anything, it just hurts people that have a lot of gear farmed up over time. That's one of the major reasons why I put out the video. When it comes to the free to play, I just thought immediately to myself, there's just such a gap that's increasing and increasing between me being able to, I guess, like, catch up in a way, I guess. Like, obviously, if you're free to play, there's no way you're gonna be able to ever compete with, like, a top 1 or top 2, top 3, top 10 platinum arena. Like, that's just not really realistic because, like, unless you're super, super lucky with every single pull you do, or super, super lucky with the gear you do, like, there's always going to be that gap there. Now, people are saying in the comment section that I wanted to address, um, there was many people saying like, "Oh, this is a good thing for the game because it helps everybody catch up in a way." Now, I do agree that this does help everybody in the game because, like, one thing that people were took the wrong way last video, because I think I just kind of slipped out the wrong way, is that I pretty much said the gears that I rolled here, opposed to my previous gear, it kind of went down the toilet. And what I mean by that is, like, it kind of went in the back burner because I was showing off my Baron gloves here that I have the 20% grit damage, and like I have better gears, I have better gloves than this with better substats, but that's what I meant when I said that this pretty much replaced my old gear, and this is a rare piece of gear, right? So that's kind of what I was implying when I said what was my previous best gear in the toilet, is what I meant by it was replaced by a rare gear, and now is in the back burner for, like, I guess another champion. But like, that's kind of what I meant, but I didn't mean to say like it's completely unusable. Of course it's still usable. Of course it's still a god tier piece, will still be a god tier piece, but the additive, right? The extra stat gain, it's not necessarily going to help my character, especially if it's like a flat defense on a Baron or something along those lines. But it's still a net gain at the end of the day. Now, a net gain is any extra stats gain is going to help any player in the game that's progressing, right? When it comes to PvE especially. So when people say it's a catch up system for everybody, when it comes to PvE, yeah, sure, I can agree with that to some degree because, like, most endgame players, like, once you have your team, you have your team. Like, the only difference you're gonna do is just push better times or try to find ways to min-max and get better speeds. But at the end of the day, like, if I finish a stage 25 dungeon and someone else finishes a stage 25 dungeon at 1 minute, they're still finishing that stage at 25, right? Or if they're getting better speed, they're still getting better speed. I'm getting better speed, whatever. But PvE content, yes, this is definitely a net gain for everybody. Now, when people say, I did see a lot of people, other people saying it's a catch-up mechanic for everybody, including PvP. Now, that's where I disagree. And the thing is, a lot of you are saying that this is only a whale problem, but I don't think it is. It kind of affects everybody, right? Because whales are going to have more opportunities to roll stuff. They're going to have more opportunities to run those higher dungeons. And I mean, like, I guess if you're endgame or a whale, whatever, or if you're higher, like, progress in the game. But I think this kind of affects everybody to some degree because you still have to farm up all that stuff. You still have to farm the gear. You're still going to, you might have, I don't know, maybe you're not as like doing well in the gear department and you're holding on to like a few gear pieces that are really solid, or maybe one, right, or here and there. And let's say those few pieces that you have, the only ones you have, they all roll bad stats. It's not gonna feel good. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways, I think. But as far as like this really irking like the top players in Plat Arena, I mean, it sucks. It sucks. What can I say? But I think the arena is still gonna the Plat Arena is still gonna be what it is right now. It doesn't really mean that the early game players are now gonna have a chance to compete with the Plat Arena players. I think that's not really. I think that's being kind of delusional. You still have to work for the gear. You still have to farm for the gear. You still have to uh, put yourself in position to get there. Now, with the rolls here, if you get super lucky, at some point, yeah, you're gonna be able to progress more and more. But as far as this being in a complete balancing or giving other early game players a chance to compete in like Plat Arena, come on now. I don't know about that. just because you have a chance also to roll uh like a decent piece like this, I guess, right? Like a hit on like an ascension here. That doesn't mean the endgame players aren't going to hit on some of these too on their other pieces as well. They have more of a skill to go up on because they have unlimited of resource of energy they can just expend versus like the free to play or the lower spenders that are have a limited amount of gear that they can roll and ascend. And we're not even talking about doing the dungeon alone because the dungeon, like if you're only doing up to stage 15, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to ascend beyond stage two ascensions. So that one ascension, is it really gonna give you that extra push to uh make that impact for you in like competing in arena in gold 1, gold 2, gold 3, gold 4, gold 5? Sure. Like getting to gold 5, I don't think it's not that difficult. In the past, over a year ago, right when Ninja came out, there was a weird update where arena was really 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 bad. So it was just impossible to progress at a gold 1 for like an early game player. But since then it's changed quite a bit. A lot of people are still putting out one man defenses, so shout out to you guys. And it just there's a lot of ways to progress to gold 5 pretty quickly in arena. One thing I wish they would do is either reduce the cost of energy on this, or reduce the amount of lesser potions and other potions that like you need to upgrade your ascensions or do the ascensions, because I think it's a little much right now. So on my free to play account, like I was giving an example of, on my previous video, I can only get to stage 6. So if I'm only getting to stage 6, I'm not going to be able to ascend my gear beyond one ascension. So is that going to really make an impact for me? Is that really going to change anything I was doing before, then, and now? Right? It's not really. Like I'm still gonna hit Ultra Nightmare, but I'm still gonna I'm still doing all the dungeons like pretty much the same as I was doing before. Now, it can make some difference. I'm not saying it's not gonna make a difference because a net gain is a net gain, but that's pretty much where my head was at, and that's pretty much why I made that video in the first place. Now I want to address some of the comments I was reading here. There was someone named Corbsby Gaming. Shout out to you. He wrote, I think the points you made are definitely valid, but I think you were looking at the whole thing wrong. The goalposts got moved again. It happens in many times in Raid, as you know, like with empowerment, soul, stuff like that, and it will happen again in the future, and so we should come to expect it. Absolutely. 100%. I agree with that. The goalpost has moved, and they're just going to keep increasing goalposts for everybody, but it's just so brutal for the people that are starting on now, or the people that are, I guess, like early game to mid game, because that I personally think the gap is getting bigger and bigger because the people that are already established, the people that already have that are already running for Stoneskin gear, like the nightmare teams for Hydra boss, the people that are already able to farm up like the higher ascensions like at a faster pace and whatnot, and a lot of people are already going to be able to farm the higher stages versus the other stage people that are going to be farming this for a while or up to like stage 15 or whatever. So they are going to be consistently have a higher chance at getting more opportunities to do stuff, while the other people are still going to be like, I feel like it's going like this in a sense. That's how I feel. Like this is the end game player here. This is the early to mid game player here. They're progressing at this pace while the end game is going like this. That's how I feel. Now, the end game player will hit a peak at some point again. Like you said, the goalpost has moved, but it's like there's just only a limited of platinum arena spots. Now I'm talking about platinum arena right now, and what upset me was, like, I know that as a free to play player, like unless you've been playing the game since the beginning and you already have a foot in the ground, already farming, already able to farm all these higher difficulty content in the game, like that's a whole totally different thing. But for I guess like for someone like on my free to play account, I was speaking more for my free to play like in the last video as well, and like other people that are not able to progress as fast. Um, I just feel like Platinum Arena at this point is on my free to play account. It's gonna be rough. Like that's been my goal since the beginning, to be able to compete in Platinum Arena and hit Platinum Arena one day and squeeze in. That was my goal, but I just don't see that being really realistic on my free to play account at this point. But I mean, I don't wanna be negative and say it's not gonna happen, because I try to be positive when I can. But it's just at the same time I kind of want to just be real about it too. So I think like my whole free to play series aspect has to change a little bit, and maybe I'm setting the goal a little too high. Um, I mean, at this point, I just want to go for Lydia on my free to play account, and then After that, I guess like Hydra Boss Nightmare, and then I could take it from there. So maybe just one step at a time is a better approach. So I apologize for the emotions that came out of the last videos, and like I guess like the any negative feelings or any bad ways you guys took the video. I wasn't really I was just speaking my mind. I was just speaking my mind. So I hope you guys do understand that. But going back to the rest of his post here, now he said that you said that some of your best pieces of gear are now trash, but that's not true. So I already addressed what I was talking about earlier when I said that. They might not be perfect role, but they don't lose any stats. In fact, they gain stats so are even stronger. Yeah, everything you said was completely valid. Now, yeah, like I agree with everything you're saying. It's just that it like it just hurts so bad when you farm so much, right? You spend 3 years, 4 years farming so much, going for those gear pieces, and then have it roll into something that's just like meh, like like just like something you wouldn't use at all, even though it is technically a net gain, and then have it simply replaced by a rare piece, right? That's what irked me. That's what irked me. But I think like if I'm just looking at it in a positive way, Murder Inc. did make a great point about in his video. If you guys didn't check it out, make sure to check it out. He pointed out that it's kind of cool that I was able to go into campaign farming and was able to farm this. Now, granted, it took me 3,500 energy to find this piece, and I think this was the only 6-star boost that I found out of the 3,500 energy. And then this is where I said this is where I hated about the new update. It's another RNG factor on top of it. That's the whole thing I hated about it. So now I have to. It took me 3,500 energy to farm this, and now I have to pray and hope it lands on speed, which it did. But again, it's a common piece, which is kind of cool that I was able to use something like this. And just like the other example I gave here, I was able to replace even a legendary piece or epic piece that was really, really solid and have a rare piece come in and be the new god tier, like bar raise as far as really, really good piece. It's kind of cool, I guess, that I am using a rare piece over epic and legendary pieces as like, just like more opportunities for everybody in general. So I guess that's cool, but it's kind of like just in the moment, it was like a really it hurts kind of feels, right? So I think my perspective has changed a little bit as far as is this the worst thing added to the game? From a sense that it helps out everybody, I think it's I have to admit it's good overall for the majority of people. What I think is really bad is just the extra RNG on top of RNG, because not only do you have to get the gear piece that you're going for, right? That's one. Two, you're hoping. So what I originally thought was you hope for a rare, an epic or legendary piece, the rarity. But now, even a common piece, even a rare piece can be considered a god tier per se, right? It can beat like a decent solid epic piece or a legendary piece now. So I mean, I guess you could remove that from an equation to some degree. And the extra RNG on top of that would be the rolls. The primary, you want to hope that the primary is at least decent or what you want. And then on top of that, you got to pray that the substats are okay. And then the rolls go into the ones you want to go into. And then on top of that, the glyphs, which is at least with glyphs, you can choose what you want to go for, right? So I guess that's not really part of the equation here. So the extra RNG on top of that now is to go for the ascension on top of that. So that's kind of where I was like, I really hate this part of it, and I personally don't really like the RNG factor of it, and that was like my whole point and whole uh thing that really irked me about this whole thing. But yeah, that's pretty much how I was thinking at the time. But going back to what I was saying though, is this the worst thing for the game? The RNG, I think that is something that's will have to be addressed at some point, because I wish and I hope that at the very least they increase the energy count on the cap, because I don't think 130 is enough anymore, because there's just way too much going on in the game right now where you don't have like there's only so much energy you can use on certain things, especially if you're not really buying or spending anything, right? So I feel like everything has scaled up so much, but the energy hasn't scaled with what's going on in the game, as far as like the extra dungeons and extra stuff that keep getting added, right? So that's kind of what I was thinking with like the Iron Twins now with the sand. So those are my thoughts. So what I'm hoping for is maybe they can lower the cost of upgrading, right? Maybe they can lower the cost of the potions that's required to upgrade this or send it. And also, if they gave us an option to reroll this as many times as we want using the potions or whatever, and hopefully at some point you can hit what you want. I think that would be kind of cool. But that's what I'm hoping to see anyway. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below if, what you guys think. And yeah, so I do want to thank all the people in the comment section that were respectful and not attacking me in any way. There was a lot of hateful comments there, and a lot of people that were, uh, yeah, they were very rude in the comment section. But it is what it is. Everybody has their own opinions or whatever. But I feel like I mean, those are my thoughts, guys. So, yeah, feel free to share what you guys think in the comment section. Yeah, yeah. So I hope that I was able to address a lot of what you guys were saying in the comment section, and I don't know where they can go from here, but I am curious about what you guys think now. And I once again I apologize if I came across the wrong way in any way or shape or form. Um, yeah. So that's pretty much it. I will see you guys in the next one.